live. Let me double check sound.
All right.
Looks like it's coming through.
All right. We'll give folks a minute to hop on. Check, check. Am I making noise? Hello, hello. Testing 1. Testing 2. I guess Scott's testing audio. Maybe I'm just talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, I don't know. We'll give it a few minutes for people to start hopping on for me to talk about what I'm doing, but I'll start by saying welcome to the Fireside. Glad to have you guys back for another live stream. We've been trying to do these. Been trying to do them weekly, but we've been getting to them at least every other week. And this one's a little bit unique in that it's probably the first one that hasn't been an existing piece. I'm just laying this one out today. I've been hesitant to do that because sometimes the layout takes longer and there's not as much information. It's not as cool to watch. So you can't really see what's actually happening with the tattoo yet. But in this case, it was I thought it would be a good one. I thought I could probably get the layout in there fast enough that we could have some idea of what was actually happening in the tattoo by the time we started streaming. So this piece I'm starting on actually expanding on my buddy Dino. Dino and I have been, I don't know how long Dino and I have known each other. We went to high school together, so probably like close to 30 years.
Yeah, 93, 92.
92, 93, yeah, so around 30 years. Pretty long time.
Yeah, it is.
And Dino is a chef, owns a restaurant here. He actually comes from, I guess, arguably like the most famous kind of restaurant family in Memphis, huh?
I think so. It always comes up.
Yeah, I would say if not the most well-known restaurant family in Memphis, then one of the top 3. I can't think of who I would put up there with the Grisantes. What would you say? Yeah. So anyway, so we're doing vegetables and herbs in this sleeve. I don't know what camera angle we're on this camera angle. So I don't know what you can see here, but I did this last year, 2 years ago, somewhere around there.
Yeah, right before COVID.
Right before COVID. We did this. We got one of Dino's like favorite. Sorry, I'm gonna bend your arm a little bit. Like one of his favorite knives, chef's knives, and we did this kind of traditional-ish piece on the back of his arm with basil, little tomatoes, and the knife and some thyme. And so now we're kind of expanding it to be a half sleeve. Had to work around. I'm working around this little anchor that was existing, obviously, but we're laying in some handful. We're going to continue with some of the herbs. I'm going to pull some of the stuff from the existing piece over. So the thyme, we're gonna continue to use that. We're also gonna kind of like pull it into like some thyme blossoms, these little purple blossoms that come off of that herb, and so it'll start to kind of morph from just the green kind of plant at the time to the blossom starting to form. And my centerpiece here, not for any particular reason other than I just liked the shape the most, is going to be this big artichoke, and we'll do kind of a bell pepper up here. And the trick with these kinds of pieces are always fun because they're for the most part fairly simple shapes. It's like just big kind of simple shapes that you can manipulate and present from different angles. So you really have an unlimited amount of a number of options. So it's just a matter of like kind of arranging those shapes and deciding which one you want to kind of be the centerpiece. You still have to establish a hierarchy the same way you would if there was like if the tattoo was a thing. You know what I mean? And so my hierarchy is going to be this kind of what did I just say? Artichoke kind of in the center, and then this kind of bell pepper sitting off behind, and a lot of smaller stuff that kind of pulls off. I think I'm going to use some of these. I'll start lining some of these things, see a little better. I'm going to use some of these little like shapes of the thyme are going to be negative shapes, so there'll be a skin tone kind of pulling from the anchor, I think, just so that I can like pull the negative from behind the anchor into the piece. So I think that's my plan so far. Today we're just going to do all the line work and the gray work, and then we'll color it in a second sitting. But yeah, should be a fun one. And the cool thing about tattoos like this is you get to play with color so much, because it can really kind of go anywhere, you know, just like choose a color of one thing and then let that kind of dictate the color of the next thing. At least that's the way I do it.
There was a question about which machine is that?
I'm using, it's not my favorite liner, but I'm using it because it's the quietest machine for this. It's the Bishop Wand Shader. It lines fine. I mean, it does a good job. Especially, I'm not super concerned with having like bold outlines on this piece. I kind of went through before we started streaming, and I just took a medium gray wash and I just lined the entire thing. And now I'm coming back with a straight black and kind of beefing up a few lines. But my favorite liner is the Numa 4. That's typically the one that I use, but it's just too loud for these live streams. For whatever reason, the camera, or the mic on these cameras pick up that machine and make it sound like way louder than it really is. So I've gotten to where I just don't use it on these live streams, just because it sounds like a coil machine, like right in your ear. But yeah, this is the Bishop Shader wand. I love it for this is a great machine for gray wash. It's mainly what I use it for, is just gray wash. I don't color with it ever. If it's just a black and gray piece that I'm doing, a lot of times I will line with it because it's more than capable of doing that. But if I'm only lining, like if I were lining a whole sleeve or something, I wouldn't use this. I would use the Numa. Speaking of which, our buddy Carson Hill, who owns Numa, did a cool little he's doing like little artist spotlights for people who use his machines. He had done one for Nick Baxter, one for Mike Cole, and he put a little vector kind of drawing that he had done, or that he had done, up of me the other day, and then he reached out and asked if I would like share what my favorite settings or favorite cams and stuff, like how I use the Numa 4. I don't know exactly how he's planning to highlight all of that stuff. I'm guessing maybe they're going to do a little something on their website just for, you know, artists that use their machines. But is anyone, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but is anyone is anyone else using that Numa 4? I'm just curious what cams everyone's using for that machine. I've been using the 40% cam more than anything, and that one's the one that's kind of meant to be more like a straight spinner kind of rotary machine, and I've been using it for outlining a lot, and that's really, like, most people say that's their least favorite one to line with, but I guess I line kind of slow, and that one works great for me.
What color was asking? What kind of gray wash do you line?
I've been using the Raw Pigments. I've been using their whitewash series more than anything. But for lining, I don't really. Sometimes I'll just put a few drops of black and fill it with water. But this time I did use Raw Pigments, just their gray wash series. I used the medium gray and the light gray. That's what this was lined with the first time around. And now I'm using just straight black. This is dynamic. I've been using dynamic black for lining for, I don't know, 100 years. Forever.
A handful of people checking in from around.
Sweet. Anybody from someplace exotic and fun?
Florida.
That's not exotic. Florida.
In Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh, okay. Lafayette, Indiana. Now that's exotic.
Paul Lane, that's a familiar name.
Oh, yeah.
Tuning in from 5 Points Tattoo in Lafayette.
Oh, sweet. Thanks for tuning in. 5 Points Tattoo.
Bill O'Duffy said he loves 20% came from the Numa 4. The
Yeah.
line work, dot work like a champ.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's like the consensus kind of lining setup for that machine, and I like it. I like the 20% a lot too. I do use that one. I've just found myself, I guess because I was coloring with the 40%, and so then I just started lining with the 40%, and I got used to it. You know what I should do, just because I talk about that machine all the time, but I never use it on these live streams, is I should ask Carson. Like he has all the different grips. Maybe someone out there knows who's using them. I've just got the original, like, kind of, I don't know, one of those thin kind of aluminum grips that he first came out with. I wonder if any of the new ones are more sound absorbent, where it wouldn't dominate the audio in these live streams. Should ask Carson that. Order myself one that I can use in these. But you can see, like, this one is doing, like, for, you know, I'm using just a 7, like a loose 7 liner, single kind of pass. Now I've already gone through and done the wash lines, which helps obviously, but I mean, these things, this thing does fine. It's not a bad liner.
You got a question? What is the purpose of lining with a wash?
I don't like to have bold outlines all the way through my tattoo, and in fact, I'm not really crazy. Right now, I'm separating the major kind of shapes. Like, you can kind of say, these guys, I'm kind of thinking about this big shape here. With these guys, I'm thinking about this shape here. So I've got like a hard line shape, a hard line shape, and a hard line shape. But I won't darken any of these lines. I like to wait until the end of my tattoos to know where the outlines go. The outlines draw so much attention that if I use too many lines, especially early on in the tattoo, if I go through and I black line everything, I'll tend to flatten the tattoo out. Everything will look like it's screaming for attention. So in that case, nothing really gets the attention. So I tend to gray line and let my value and color create the edges that I want, and then at the very end of the tattoo, I'll come through and I'll hard line the stuff that's, you know, that I want to be the boldest. I think that's a good approach. Also, I'm not like, this is my first tattoo of the week. And so I need to warm my hands up and my eyes up and everything a little bit every week, even after all these years of doing this. It's kind of like stretching before you work out, I guess. And I'm just not, like, if I came in and started just trying to lay big, bold, traditional lines right off the start of the week, I wouldn't be very good at it. I need to kind of get my motion down. Maybe that's just me, but...
Apache Tattoos in the Bronx checking in.
Nice.
Dale said they was cheap and only picked up the 20% can. He wanted the no-fail liner. It was close to the coil and it blew away all its coils. Hasn't been deep on any other machine yet.
Yeah, I agree. It's I've been trying. I was up here over the weekend. My buddy David Evans, for you guys who've been following the podcast for a long time, he was my original kind of co-host on the original Fireside interviews. And our Fireside podcast, and he still is like, he is a loyal to the coil. He really hasn't changed anything in his like methods for probably 25 years of tattooing. And I was up here this weekend. He's tattooing here with me now, and I was watching him work, and I was trying to convince him to give the Numa a shot and replace his coil. He's still using which, you know, he's good with it. So it's not that I think his tattoos would be better. It would just be easier on his hand after, however long he's been tattooing, 35 years probably. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that thing lines beautifully. Not liking. See, sometimes one thing I always have to pay attention to as I lay these things out, I don't know if you can see, but I've got these 3 like the 3 different little like thyme leaves or herbs that are all lined up together, and they end kind of close. I mean, this does it because it has a blossom, but at least the little thyme leaves, they end around the same point. It's so easy to do that, and then it'll stand out like a sore thumb. So I need to address that and stagger them a little bit, I think. If you can see what I'm saying there. What's anyone else working on today? Anyone else working on vegetables by chance? That'd be crazy if so. one thing I might do just to keep those from looking too much the same is not hard line this one, and maybe do 2 of them negative and 1 of them like positive or something like that. I'll hold off for now and let it come to me.
Bryn Styles is working on a portrait piece.
Nice. I don't do many of those. Many portraits.
Doing a soft stick-on floral tattoo.
Nice. Wynn color is? Oh yeah, I know Wynn color. Faith Wynn, right? She does, or what used to do the Monday morning. She may still do the Monday morning drawing groups. I haven't been doing them as much, but she's got a cool like color theory kind of system that she's been working on for a while. And I think maybe he was working with raw pigments a little bit, if I remember right. Maybe she'll let us know.
Got a question for you about that.
About what?
About the one she's working on. She said, I'm doing the soft stippling floral tattoo and I don't want to do straight lines on the leaves. Can you recommend a number of drops for a wash if I don't want to go back in later?
Not necessarily. I think usually I guess you're going to come back and like color line it or make the break with something else besides the lines. And if that's the case, I just dark enough for it to like be readable whenever it's healed. 3 drop is about the lightest that I go. 3 drop to like a number. What are these? Number 16 caps. Just the regular ones, not the big ink caps. I always forget what number they are. Maybe 16. Like 3 drops to a number 16 cap full of water is pretty light. I'll do like a 3 drop, 5 drop, 10 drop. But if you're using any of the pre-mixed washes, which I've been doing more and more lately, you can just use the light and the extra light. I use those a lot, and they're like they're consistent. The extra light, a lot of times will be, depending on the skin tone of the person, if you let it heal, it'll be like too light to see, but the light normally is not. That's what I did. Most all of this that's laid in here, that's not the black lines I just did, was done with raw pigments, just light gray wash. Speaking of which, if you guys haven't tried those, they did. Raw gave us an affiliate code that gives you guys 10% off of Raw of all their inks. It is just Fireside, I think. Just to check out Fireside, no capital anything, just straight Fireside, 10% off. And I think that you can use it every time. I don't think it's like a one-use or first-time only code.
Coming off of that stippling question, it was I'm using raw lining and shading.
Okay. Yeah. And Raw, I haven't gotten used to all their blacks yet. They've got like, I was talking to a while back. I was talking to Lauren from Raw about that. Like when she sent me some to try before I wasn't familiar with them, so she sent me just a handful to try, and I think she sent me like 5 or 6 different blacks or something like that. And I was like, what do I do with all these black inks? And I still haven't figured out what they all do. One that I use a lot, I haven't been using their lining and shading yet. I'll try their lining ink. I've just got a full thing of Dynamic that I already had. But the one that I have been using, the black that I've been using the most, is called Black Mamba. And it's not a lining black. It's like a solid, dark purple. It's almost like they probably mix like a purple concentrate and their straight black ink, because it is dark. I really like it. I've been using it basically on all, for the darks of all my tattoos for the last couple of months.
Yeah, a number of people checking on what they're working on today.
Nice.
A lot of people busy.
Nice. Cool. Any exciting pieces? Can they hear? Can everyone hear you talking, or should I be repeating what you're saying?
I might be kind of
low.
and back. You did have Punk Zombie say he's doing a small angel on an 85-year-old woman today. Any tips for loose and old skin?
Whoa, working on an 85-year-old woman. Yeah. Nice, man. I've tattooed a lot of old skin in my day. It's completely unpredictable. So stretch the skin and start the machine way slower than you normally would. start running a machine. They go that old kind of like thin paper skin. It'll blow out, lines blow out like super fast. So run the machine slow, work off the tip of the needle, see what happens. Wipe often. Another thing that sucks about tattooing old skin is like as you wipe, all the ink gets caught in like the spider webby kind of like cracks of their skin, so you can't even tell. A lot of times you're like, oh no, it's all blown out. Then you finally get it clean. You're like, oh no, it's not even in there actually. Yeah, that's tricky. I think it's awesome, that 80-year-old folks are getting tattooed, but it is definitely, there's a learning curve to it. Yeah. Speaking of 80-year-olds not getting tattooed, but I got tattooed by an 80-year-old not that long ago. My grandmother, who's 82, tattooed a turtle on my leg. Turned out pretty awesome. Yeah, I got some footage of it. We need to edit it and put it out.
Yeah, we'll have to do that for treatment.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
Yeah, we need to. But yeah, that's my best advice on old skin is just start slow, run the machine. I don't know what machine you're using or what but I would start any of my machines probably in the mid 5s, like 5.5 volts or so, and work kind of slow and wipe off and then see what's happening with it, because blowouts are easy. What do you say is do what? An angel one?
Yeah, small angel.
Yeah, and simplify it as much as you can. Especially if it's a small angel. Don't be trying to get highlights in those eyes. You'll be in trouble.
Steve Nelson's asking, what recommendations on a pre-made gray wash?
So I've been using white washes more than gray wash. So, and the difference is, and we did a 3 Minutes to Better Tattoo episode on these a while back. I'm not just saying this because we've been working with Raw and they gave us the affiliate code and all that. Their whitewash I really like the best because it has enough white that it's actually, especially on the lighter side, the medium light and extra light versions are almost, they have like a slight opacity. Whereas like I like Empire's whitewash as well, but it doesn't have quite as much white in it, and so you don't see it in the healed tattoo at all. And I feel like in Raws you can kind of see just the kind of milkiness or creaminess in the healed tattoo. On the lighter end, on the dark wash and on their dark washes or extra dark if they have those. I can't tell the difference. It's starting in medium. It washes. I can see the difference all the way down to the extra light. In the extra light, it looks like you mixed straight up black and white. Like in the cap, it just looks like a mixed gray. But anyways, I've been using white washes more if for tattoos that are going to be finished black and gray. I just kind of like the look, and I like when they're going in the skin. It like something about the white, especially on the lighter end of the spectrum. The white that's mixed in that ink kind of knocks back some of the redness of like the irritation of the tattoo, which I like. But if you're just using straight gray washes, I like Raw, I like Empire. Most of them are good. I've used Eternal is good. I haven't really had any trouble out of any of them, to be honest. You do get 10% off with Raw if you want to try them out. I don't have any kind of discount code with Eternal or any of the other ones. And Raw, you can either get at rawpigments.co, I think it's co, or I think they're at Lucky Supply. I don't think that the one downside right now, at least, is that I don't think you can get them through like Kingpin, which is where I still buy most everything. So I'm always looking for stuff that I can buy from the same place without having to make multiple orders. And there are a couple of things right now that I can't do that with. I can't do it with Raw. I can't do it with Tattoo Lovers Care, which I really like their aftercare and their tattoo ointments. I have to order them. I don't have an affiliate code or anything for them. It's just something I've been using for a while. They're great. It's like a CBD. I think Hustle Butter has one too, CBD based kind of ointments. I like the smell and the consistency of the Tattoo Lovers Care. I've been healing my tattoos with it too, so I like it for that. I've got more experience with it, but I can't get it from Kingpin, and I also they also have been kind of slow. Like I just got an order in from them today that I placed probably like 5 weeks ago, so That's kind of tough. Like, I know everyone's having supply issues, but that I thought was a little much. But all that said, I still like them.
More questions, let's see.
All right.
Did you talk about Mamba Black?
Yeah, Mamba Black.
Okay, so yeah, do you find it difficult blending your Mamba Black with other black gradients, considering your Mamba might have a purple hue? They have issues blending two different times.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried to blend it into other, blending it into color, I haven't had any trouble with if I'm just blending it straight. I haven't tried to blend it out into like a black and gray piece or anything like that. Probably wouldn't use it much for that. I've been using it for like color tattoos, and yeah, I mean it has purple in it, so you have to keep that in mind. So if you're trying to blend into something, you know, if you're trying to blend it to a straight red or something, well, you can blend it to a red. I don't know. You could, if you were thinking about making a transition from purple, I guess you can blend it into most anything. But yeah, I like it. The only thing is, it's like crazy thick, and kind of like, I'm sure you guys know, like when you're trying to mix or trying to like wipe any of those like super creamy thick colors, it's such a pain. I despise every light blue that I have. I mean, I love light blue in tattoos whenever it works well, but I hate trying to wipe it away. Like maybe any blue, just in general, royal blue too. So I've gotten about as far as I think I'm going to with the black lines. I think that's probably plenty. I've got some stuff that goes in the background back here, but what I really wanted to do, this is one of these things like when I'm working with existing tattoos and I'm trying to blend off of them, sometimes I'll leave myself little openings like this to, let me wipe it down and kind of show you what I'm thinking. Sometimes.
And real quick for you, where are you going next?
I'm probably just going to go back like this and start shading. I think I'm gonna start shading from here.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be on the inside. But so I don't know if you guys can see this at all, but like so I left a lot of open kind of skin because I've got these basil leaves, I've got these little tomatoes, and even though I'm pulling off of this tattoo, so I don't want to just ignore all the stuff that's in this back tattoo, even though Dino didn't necessarily want more basil and more little Roma tomatoes. I feel like if I don't introduce them somewhere else, it'll be really obvious that this piece was existing, and then we just built all this stuff off, especially when it comes to the basil, because the basil kind of like frames this outer part. So I'm definitely going to grab another piece of basil and like drop it behind all this stuff, like further back, and then probably another piece and drop it, or two, and drop them up here, just so that so it kind of like moves through the tattoo. Maybe the same thing with the little Roma tomatoes too. I may end up dropping, probably not back here because I already have a pepper, but I may end up dropping another one in here. So a lot of times I'll leave myself an end, just in different spots. I'll leave hollow spots, and then I'll kind of look at what's happening with the existing tattoo and pull it in. I'm better at doing it. It probably makes more sense to map it really well and do it on the front end. I'm just better at doing it on the fly. I just feel like I can like make better decisions when I see exactly how it sits at whatever angle the arm is at. So anyway, so like, yeah, back here we've got these little pieces of thyme, and they all kind of like end right around here. So I'm definitely going to grab into these pieces and pull a couple of them up further so that they actually blend into the expansion of the tattoo rather than just like they sit against it. I think that's kind of stuff that makes all the difference in a tattoo being like good and then the best that you can make it. I mean, I don't have to do that, and most people would never notice, but I don't know, it doesn't take much more effort to make it more cohesive. Like for example, like this time back here, I don't know if I'm in the shot at all, but the time that's back here is shooting this way. So what I grabbed in my new piece, as it's going into the blossoms, the thyme blossoms, I'm using the exact same kind of angles. And then as his arm turns, if you think about him like standing normally, it's nice to have something sweeping this way anyways. So I continued another piece here, and I'll probably continue another piece down here and maybe back here, just so everything's kind of sweeping the same direction. I I like to try to think about that stuff. Actually, I'm gonna align a little bit more, not too much. And if you guys are still asking questions, Scott walked away, so he'll be back in a second. All right. Let's see here. Next, I'm going to start moving into some shading, and I want to make sure that I'm not like separating these things too much in my mind. Like, I don't want to shade each individual separately. I want to try to find a way to connect all the shadow shapes as best I can, so that they like fit together and flow, instead of treating them all like individual, elements. Another one of those things is just like so important to think about, so you don't end up with like just a bunch of like look like individual tattoos stacked on top of each other with no real focal point.
Oh, that spurred a little side chat on the Black Mamba.
Oh yeah.
Dale asked, so would the Mamba be a good mix with Eternal Warm gradients? And then Wind Color said she thought Mamba was blackout and Midnight was a blue mixing black.
I don't know what they are. She may know better than me when it comes to that. Whenever I use Mamba, it definitely feels like it has purple in it to me. It just looks purple even in the cap. But I don't know. I know that she's been working with. I don't know that, but I think she's been doing more with Raw's pigments than I have. So she may have a better idea.
And she said she had to run, her client was there.
Okay. Well.
She didn't want to tell you thank you, and you are her hero.
Oh, come on now. Good luck on your tattoo.
Is it kind of off topic? Is there any magazine or website that has any understanding of how many tattooers or studios went out of business because of COVID?
Not that I know of. How many tattooers went out of business?
Sorry.
You're going to get us kicked off YouTube where you're playing your favorite songs, right?
I was looking at the food videos.
I don't know. I don't know of any websites or anything that give that information. I'm sure it happened to quite a few. Although it seems to me like I know, just try to keeping up with shops around here, ones that were like that were struggling. Most all of them were able to get the PPP loans and all that to keep kind of going. I know quite a few of our shops were closed for months and months, and then everyone was able to at least keep food on their table, and they're all open back up as far as I can tell now. I don't know of anyone in my town in Memphis that stayed closed. I mean, I'm sure it happened, I have no doubt, but I didn't happen that I know of around here. At least not to like the, I hate to say more reputable, but the more established kind of shops that have been around a while. As far as I know, they're all back to work, and I feel like everyone's pretty busy. I don't know. We have some people listening. They could probably share the experience from their part of the world. It didn't have a big impact on me personally at all. But I work out of this private space, and I really didn't take a ton of time off. I got vaccinated as soon as I could, and then my clients, most of my clients did as well. We masked up, and it was just two people, just me and my client. So we really were. I mean, I was back tattooing way before I'm sure it was legal to do so. When did that started in March of last year? I'm sure by like June I was back tattooing 2 or 3 days a week. That's just kind of a unique position that I was in. I don't do walk-ins or anything. I'm working on mainly just a handful of projects at once, and so I end up with folks who who like, if it's a project that's already existing, a lot of times, they were reaching out to me saying, hey, I'm working from home. I have, I pick up my groceries, they bring them, they deliver my groceries to me or whatever. I don't go in stores, and can we keep my appointment? And that's kind of what started it on my end. And I was like, yeah, if everyone else is cool with it, I'm cool with it. All right, so I'm gonna start doing here. I was just kind of playing with to see what these shapes look like dark. These I know will be kind of a deeper green up here. Like I said, some of these I may end up pulling from negatives, so I'm not gonna go through and shade those just yet. I'm gonna go through and just establish my light source, which I think is just straight from the top, and just start blocking in the shadow shapes and trying to find ways to like connect them, to kind of puzzle piece them together. So I'll start doing that now. Switch over to a shader. Ooh. Let's see. All right, so what I've been doing a lot lately, especially on tattoos that are gonna end up being colored, which this one is I start with just a medium gray and just block in all my shadow shapes with that gray, and then I can come through and saturate and make things darker or lighter or whatever I need to when I start color. But it makes it easier if I'm just using one gray. It makes it easier, or I might vary it slightly, but it makes it easier to see how my shadow shapes are kind of connecting, like just see it as a big mass of light and dark shapes rather than as like trying to get the perfect like form on every single individual object.
Yeah, a couple people checking in about their codes, that there's still some slowness from it, but
yeah.
just opened back up.
Yeah, and I would imagine everyone's kind of experience is probably a little bit different, especially depending on what type of shop. I would think if you're doing a lot of walk-ins, there are probably plenty of people that still aren't that comfortable coming and sitting in a chair and getting breathed on and stuff. Sorry, we're having to kind of like, it's a little weird trying to do this today. Scott's having some kind of car issues and keeps having to run out to take phone calls, so he can't let me know what you guys are saying consistently. I think it's his daughter's car issue. If it was his car issue, he'd probably just be sitting here. But if it's your daughter's car issue, then you're on the phone, I think. And so another thing with this, using just these medium grays instead of going super dark to start with, is like we don't really even know yet what color this bell pepper is. It's not going to be green, we know that because there's already a lot of green around here, but depending on, I'm going to make the artichoke kind of my focal point, so depending on like what I use in the focal point, I'll use some type of complementary here. So I mean, the artichoke is mostly kind of soft greens, but in the center it's got this kind of like magenta kind of tone through here, so I might pull from that magenta and then like once I see how that sits in the skin, let that determine whether this is like a deep red bell pepper or an orange bell pepper or a yellow bell pepper. And if it's a yellow bell pepper, then I don't want a super dark shadow because I have to remember what the kind of local value is of the bell pepper. So like a yellow bell pepper would be lighter in value than say like a dark red one. So the shadow side probably would not be as dark. So that's why this shadow, even though right now because it's fresh, it looks dark. It's just a medium gray wash. So when it heals, it'll be pretty soft, and I'll be able to, I'll still have some leeway with it to do what I want. And a lot of times, just like something I kind of got from figure drawing, where when you're drawing from a live model, there's so much information there. If you just kind of like make yourself some harsh decisions, like make some decisions on like making hard stops to your light and shadow shape, you can make, like I'm just kind of inventing these little like dips and whatever of the pepper. It doesn't have to be exact. It's way better than trying to softly blend that from the light side to the shadow side. If you just make a decision and just make that your shadow shape and pull down, especially using lighter tones like I am right now, it just looks more deliberate. It's like cleaner, and it makes it easier to connect all your shadow shapes.
Here's a different question.
All right.
You ever feel bad for inflicting pain?
No.
It affects his tattooing sometimes.
Ever feel bad for inflicting pain? No, I know what you're saying. Yes, I use, a lot of you guys have heard me say this before, I use Bactine all the way through the tattoo, especially doing like, doing large scale tattoos. I need people, I just work off a flat day rate, so I need people to sit as long as they can. And the more comfortable they are, the easier the day is on both of us. So no doubt it affects me whenever I look up and I see people like grimacing and stuff like that. I try to find a way to make them comfortable. I'll saturate their skin with Bactine and let it sit for a little while, or give them a break. And I even have other topicals, and I don't just love using the other ones. I have no trouble with Bactine, but some of those ones that are like, that you spray and leave on, like the Vaseline and all those, I feel like those things make the skin rubbery. But I have them, and if I have to, if someone gets like too far gone where I can tell it's really bothering them, I will use them. I just don't love to. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't love that it hurts. I wish it didn't. But I try to keep people as comfortable as I can. Like, I don't know if you can see this big cushy chair, but like there's no massage cot on the planet that competes with this thing for comfort. It's like a big, extra wide memory foam chiropractic bed. And I think that makes life way easier for people. A lot of times for me, when I'm getting tattooed, like right now I'm in the process of getting this full back from neck down to my ankles, basically, from my buddy Andy Chambers. And he's just got like a regular, bed. It's a nice one, but it's just a regular fold out massage cot. And after like 4 or 5 hours on that thing, the tattoo isn't bothering me all that bad, but I can feel the plywood under that bed. And I'm just, if you're sitting there all the time, you find yourself just like focusing on it, thinking about it. And so I didn't want that to happen. I've been trying to convince Andy he needs to buy one of these, but by the time he actually does it, he'll be done with my tattoo. Come on, Andy, you can afford it. Get you one. But yeah, so see these like kind of medium grays, and then I'll just let them kind of fall right and just blend right out. I'm going to use a background color, a muted version or a complement of one of these in the background. And so what I'll do is I like to, instead of having hard edges to everything, I'll let that background color seep up and in like the new school guys do. Like if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look at anything that Timmy B has ever done, and you'll see like the best possible version of that. He's better at it than me, but I shoot for it. Is doing like just having the background seep past the edges of the foreground elements, and it creates that atmosphere. A lot of the new school guys do that stuff, and that's what I'm going to do here. So some of these grays will just kind of fall right out, and then whatever that background color will just blend right into them. What do we got? I'm feeling like I got good answers today. Shoot me something.
Yeah, man. Well, I missed what I had luckily was counting on, but he said just using shader. He likes all 3 bishops.
Oh yeah. I just use the shader. Yeah. I don't even have the other ones. I can't remember why I bought this. Honestly, I don't even know if I knew anyone that was using it. I don't know. I bought it when it first came out. I guess back then I was using I don't know what machines I was using. It was before the Numa was out for sure. I was probably using still the original Cheyenne pen when I bought this. I bet you Ty Pilata got me to buy it. if I had to guess. He's bad about that.
We kicked off a little side conversation about the different beds. Adam, I believe, uses a tat sole bed.
Oh, yeah?
Sean said he had one. Tipped over too often. Which one? This is Earthlight?
This is an Earthlight, and it's not a tattoo company at all. It's this is a chiropractic bed. I found this bed. I went and did a guest spot at Guru Tattoo, Aaron Delavedova's shop in San Diego. And Aaron had this bed. And Aaron is tall. He's like, I don't know, 6'4" probably. And he was standing up, tattooing a full back with this bed. This bed is electric. It raises and lowers. And this thing will raise up so a 6'4" person can stand and work on someone who's laying down. It raises super tall. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, holy crap, the bed's awesome. And so I took pictures of it, came back, couldn't find it. I happened to just be tattooing a chiropractor and talking to him about it. And so he put me in touch with his rep. So I don't know how easy it is to find. I'm sure you can. I'm sure if I'd searched harder, I could have found it. But anyways, he put me in touch with his rep, and the rep basically, I sent him the photos, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I can have it delivered, next week." And so it's been worth it. It's probably 3 years old now, and if something went wrong with it, I would buy another one tomorrow. Don't you think? It's comfortable.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't get to sit down at my tutor, so
It's great. Yeah, so you're kind of biased, not just getting to sit down at all.
but it's very comfy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Here's another question.
All right.
You ever had white heel pink? Is that from overworking? Any way to fix it after it's happened, or will it just go away?
Yeah, it may just go away if it's not completely healed. Now, it'll never look, white because you have to remember you're not looking at ink on top of the skin anymore. Once it's healed, you're looking at ink through the color of the skin. So the skin's always going to tint it. So if they are pink, if the person themselves has if they're kind of like have a pinkish tint to their skin, then it'll just have that look. But if it's still halfway fresh, it may just not be completely healed. Like fresh skin, like when a scab comes off or something, it kind of has that pinkish look. Could just be that, but it won't likely ever look white. There are some people that I like, and that I'll tattoo, and 2 years later I'll see the tattoo, and I'm like, holy crap, those outlines are still or those highlights are still perfectly white. But that's pretty rare. For the most part, it ends up. It's enough where I don't typically use white as my strongest highlights. I tend to use the skin tone as the lightest light, because I think over a long term that's like the lightest light that you can depend on is their skin tone. So that just means that everything has to be, in order for the skin tone to look light, everything else has to be a little darker than you might think. And the darker their skin gets, the more important that is. All right.
Ecos Vera says, can you tell me how hard hitting your machine is when you're packing that gray? What stroke do you prefer to use? Is there any difference in terms of hitting when packing black, gray, or color?
Yeah. There's a difference in hopefully y'all heard all that. Is there any difference in the hit of the machine when you're packing black, gray, or color? Right now I don't know the actual stroke of the Bishop, but there's a difference in in the needle depth, like what I'm turning the machine, and there's so much needle actually extending from the cartridge. And of course the needle depth is a different thing than the stroke. The stroke is the total rotation of at the mechanism, at the motor. So the needle might be traveling a 4 millimeter stroke, but if I only have 2 1/4 millimeters available sticking out of the tube, then that's all the hit that I'm really getting. And those are two different things, and that turns into you can talk for hours about that, which we did. If you haven't watched the series we did with Carson Hill, it's probably, how many episodes do you think, Scott?
It's like
4 or 5 episodes. Yeah. We go deep into that, stroke profiles and needle dwell time and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, I don't know what the Bishop, someone else watching who uses these Bishop rotaries might be able to answer that question for you. I don't know what the stroke is of the Bishop shader. But I run I'm running it right now at 6.9 volts, and I don't know how to tell. Probably like a millimeter or something out of the, it's actually protruding out of the skin. It has what I do mostly that's different from shading to color packing or to solid black is that I tend to like brush the skin when I'm shading and build up a little slower. So, I'm kind of brushing against the skin here as opposed to like stretching the skin and making circles and packing. I don't really do a lot of packing with gray wash. With gray wash, I just kind of brush the skin, see where it is, brush it again, build it up.
Bishop Shader is a 3.5 stroke and has a bearing in it. The Packer has a 4.2.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Who said that?
Adam Ugly.
Thanks, Adam. But yeah. So one of the things, and the reason that we talk so much about Carson's machine, about the Pneuma, is that all that is so in this machine you're not going to change the stroke. You can change the needle depth by twisting the grip and changing how much needle actually comes out of the end of the cartridge. But you're not going to change the stroke. It is what it is, and most rotaries traditionally have been like that. And what Carson did with the Pneuma was with his cam system, it literally like changes the entire the stroke altogether. So you can switch out from both the stroke, how long how far the needle is traveling, and then also the dwell time, how much time of the rotation of each rotation, how much time is spent interacting with the skin. So if you thought about it as a 360 degree like rotation of a motor, like if half of the time the needle was extended and was protruding out and hitting the skin, then that would be a 50% dwell time. And so and Carson has tons of information and stuff on that. It's cool. It's a cool idea. I had never even considered any of that stuff before I started talking to him. Ty Pilata introduced me to him, and we started having those discussions. I don't even remember the first time, and it like blew my mind, the stuff he was talking about. I had never considered dwell time in the skin. But yeah, to answer that question the best I can, my hand moves differently for shading. I'm typically running the machine a little bit slower and a little bit shallower than I am if I'm just trying to pack solid color or pack solid black. So I'm gonna right now on this bell pepper I'm shading, I'm not gonna address any of the light side of this. It's just gonna stay skin for now because it's gonna be color. So whenever I shade, to simplify this stuff, I'll shade that medium gray on the shadow side of the object, and then I don't do anything on the light side of the object. Even though it will have some value to it, I'm gonna make that decision when we start coloring. I always go through and I just deal with the shadow side first. Keeps it simpler. I talk about this some on our, I know I sound like I'm just selling shit today, but in our new course in Fireside Simplify, I'm talking about just how to limit your options to make better decisions through the tattoo, and that's one of the big things. It's just making decisions like that. In the gray shading, I'm only going to address the shadow side of the object. And then, whenever, if I'm doing it full black and gray, then, nothing on this side is going to be as dark as anything on this side. And you just set those little rules for yourself, and it makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, a couple people giving the Pneuma tattoo some love.
Nice.
And then you had a little different topic. Paul wants to know, what artist chair do you use? He has an ink bed artist chair, and he turns it around backwards to lean against it. He's curious how you...
That's exactly what I'm sitting in, and mine's broken. Yeah, I've got the ink bed, the same one you're talking about, I think.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I've got the same ink bed you're talking about, I think. And my casters are broken on it, so it doesn't roll right, so I need to replace it. I used to sit with it backwards quite a bit. I haven't been lately. It's not the highest quality chair, even all the the mechanism stuff that turns that lets the armrest down and all that stuff. It's these really like oversized, kind of cheap, big wing nut looking bolts that are. I don't know. I don't love this thing. I'm not a fan of it. I don't have a better solution though right now. I forget what made me order this bed. I'm sure it was at some place that I did a guest spot or something, and I ended up coming back and ordering it. I don't remember where though, but it was cheap for what it is. I think it was only a couple $100, so that was the reason I ordered it. I know, but yeah, it's like the casters are broken on me now. One of them is bent all crazy, so I can't really roll it. Every time I go to roll, I nearly fall in my client's lap. What about other? I don't have the answer to that. What does anyone else? If I was going to buy a new tattoo chair, what should I get?
Let's see what they say. In the meantime, we had a couple people checking in. Peppy Loves Art from South Africa.
Oh, nice.
From South Africa.
Sweet.
Learning a lot from the channel over the last year. They're an apprentice, and they want to say thanks for all the great info.
Man, thank
from
you.
South Africa.
Sweet. Thanks for watching from South Africa. It's awesome. Glad it's helping. There's a bunch of episodes out there. And a lot of good folks out now, but just back when we started, there really wasn't much else like this, but there are a lot of folks that seem to be doing some cool stuff these days on YouTube and on other platforms. Someone was telling me the other day we need a TikTok, and I was like, man, I think I'm done with social media platforms. I think what we have is what we have.
The people at the shop and my kids tell me to do a TikTok about the food video.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of charcuterie trays and just putting dishes together. I'm like, I don't have time to do all that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm sure there are tons. You can get a lot of exposure through it, but I'm not that clever at like getting stuff across in 30 seconds or whatever. Like, I need an hour-long podcast to even say anything.
Yeah, I barely get enough pictures for Instagram.
Right. Yeah. Does anyone, even for your personal tattoo stuff, does anyone use TikTok to for your tattoo business? I mean, just like tattooing, not like a podcast or anything like that. Sorry, I'm not supposed to be answering questions, but I can ask questions too. So you guys can see how what I'm doing right now, I'm getting a little bit bitsy, as my buddy Dan Marshall would say, where I'm shading these individual little pieces of the man, why am I drawing a blank on the artichoke? I keep wanting to say avocado. Of the artichoke, and basically what I'm doing is I want this shape across the top to read as one big shape, so I'm going to shade down from there. Also, this part of the artichoke is the lightest part right here in the middle, so I'm going to shade kind of dark to light, but I don't want to get where I'm just shading in between these lines the whole time. I need the whole shape to read, you know what I mean, as kind of a mass. And so I don't want to get too far into noodling in between all these. There are definitely some areas where there are dark crevices that are darker than other areas, but I need to worry about that later and think more general to specific right now. And I'm saying that out loud to remind myself as well as let you guys know, because I will straight up start doing that and just start noodling away.
Responding for your TikTok question.
Yeah.
Zachary doesn't, but wants to start TikToking mainly because he wants to start doing meme tattoos, which that's not a bad idea.
Oh, yeah.
Do those. That's a good place to market it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was kind of see, that stuff's, I guess, just a little bit after all this stuff is after my era, but just, the tattoos and specific styles, meme tattoos, stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm just too old to get it. How
Yeah, Sean just checking in saying that he hates the Instagram is the requirement for the business.
no. I was talking the other day with Gabe Ripley, and he's been doing a lot of website design, and he's been a big proponent of people like not using Instagram as their portfolio and trying to get back to getting people to navigate to their websites. And he's doing some cool stuff with websites actually now that I have never seen before. I agree. I wish it wasn't such a requirement. YouTube, I don't mind as much. It feels different to me because I get so much value out of YouTube. Like everything I want to learn to do, I learn it on YouTube. So YouTube, I feel differently about. But like people have been saying, because our Instagram following is not much, like definitely less than 10,000 people, way smaller than our YouTube following. Is people are like, oh, you should start trying to migrate the audience and doing IGTV or the shorts or the whatever the different things like that. And I just because I don't get a lot of value out of that stuff, I don't know how to provide a lot of value out of those things. Like I get a lot of value out of YouTube. Like everything I want to learn to do, I learn on YouTube. So whenever I'm thinking of creating something for YouTube, I have like some context. But with IGTV or stories or any of that stuff, like I don't get any real value out of any of that. It doesn't do anything for me. So I don't really know how to translate what we do for Fireside at least into it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So see how on this I started to make this kind of bitsy, just shading with that medium gray in the crevices, and now I'm trying to like come back with a little bit lighter gray actually, but just make this one shape. I don't want a ton of highlights making their way all the way up to the tip of this because I need this to read kind of dark to light as a whole. And now it will have highlights in it. When it heals, I'll come back and I'll lay all that stuff in, but right now I don't want to think about that yet. It's just too early to address that. So I'm going to come through and just kind of shade a lot of this out so that all of it is a little darker than the background.
Oh, you asked for chair suggestions
Yeah,
earlier?
chair suggestions, yeah.
Hammer says he had a dentist chair with an arm that wrapped
I know.
around like around, so
Yep.
perfect to lean on. So that's the way to go.
Nice. Yeah, good thinking. I've seen that style chair, the dentist chair that just has like like a big C that wraps kind of halfway around you. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'll look into those. I need to do something. This one's at the end of its life.
And Zachary did say the good thing about Instagram is it does give a spot for people like him who are just starting out where he can see what everybody's doing, which is true.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love it for seeing what other people are doing. I just don't find as much value in like putting content on it. Even at this phase, even my own tattoos, and definitely for people who are just starting out and want to see what other people are doing and want to get their work seen, there's probably not a better way. It's hard to get people to go to your website if they don't know, who you are. My case is a little different. I've been tattooing in the same city for 26 years, so anyone who's into tattoos probably knows who I am in this city, which is what I'm mostly concerned with. I don't necessarily, it doesn't help me that people across the country know my work necessarily. For the sake of Fireside, it does, but for the sake of just my day-to-day tattooing and generating income and feeding my family, like for the most part, just the longevity that I've had doing the same job in the same city has solved that problem for me. So a lot of times, you may notice if you look at my Instagram, I don't post on it very often at all. I finish a lot of tattoos that never make it there, and partially that's because I don't want to have to answer like all the DMs and people are, because 9 times out of 10 they're just reaching out saying, hey, how do I get an appointment, and stuff like that, and I don't know. I just don't. I don't want to spend a lot of time going through and answering people in DMs. I put all that information in the bio part of Instagram, but people don't seem to look at that very much.
Steve Nelson had a quick question. What kind of needle are you using?
Oh, these are, I don't have an affiliate code for them, so I can't get you a discount yet, although I talked to the dude about it. Super nice guy, Austin. These are Maverick Tattoo Mercantile. They're cartridges from Maverick. I really like them. The loose versions of everything. Don't buy any tight liners. Those things are tight. I mean, unless you're into that. I'm not. They're real tight. In fact, I've got like a box of their 14 tight liners they're free to a good home. I probably have like 5 boxes of them. I can't use them, but I went back and I found the ones that I do like. I've been using their 11 loose rounds are awesome liners. This is like their, I think this is a 13 or 15 just round mag. I like them. I've been using them a lot lately. The guy seems super cool. I've talked to him a couple of times, once on the phone, and he's a tattooer. He has a partner as well, but yeah, Maverick Tattoo Mercantile, I think, is the name of their business. No complaints.
Fab Roser says, I have a noob question which could sound stupid.
Oh, go for it.
Doesn't layering gray wash overwork the skin?
If you do not learn to read the skin, yes, layering gray wash will overwork it. But you can. So like you guys just watch me go through and layer all of this. That skin's not red. It's not overworked. It's not beat up. So all of it depends on. It's all just trial and error. You'll get to a point where you can layer and 2, 3, 4 times over the same area and not overwork the skin. But it just takes practice and learning to read what's actually happening, under the skin. Early on, I wouldn't recommend it. I would get in, get it as solid as you can, get out, and just see how it heals. And I think that's the best way to learn. But over time, you'll find that you can get away with a lot more. I layer the crap out of everything. To a fault, probably.
I don't know if you'll really answer. Do you use the Cheyenne Soul Nova?
No, I don't use the Soul Nova. I know a little bit about it. I've held it and I've run it. I've never tattooed with it. I've got several friends that have it.
They were asking if you could compare the Bishop Shader with the Cheyenne Soul or the Bishop Packer, but you don't.
No, I can't compare it with the Soul Nova. Maybe someone else on here watching can. I've never used the Soul Nova. Something that kind of turned me off to that from the start, which I know people who love it, but it like you change the voltage. The Soul Nova runs with its own. And correct me if there are like multiple versions, and I'm oversimplifying this, but the Soul Nova runs on its own battery like pack, like a proprietary thing, like everything with Cheyenne being proprietary. And you like adjust the voltage by tilting the machine. Either like this or like this, so like higher voltage and lower voltage, and you don't really know what the voltage is. I guess you're just doing it by feel, and I don't like anything about that idea. It sounds terrible to me. So once I saw that they were doing that, I was like, oh, thanks anyways. I'll pass on the Soul Nova. But I know that I know Jeff Gogway, Laura Jade over out in Oregon. They're both were singing its praises. I've got some friends here locally that use it. I know Andy Chambers, who's tattooing me, he bought one, but he doesn't use it. He didn't like that, the same thing I was talking about. He wasn't a fan of the way that it works. Another one that does that Ty Pilata really likes is that the new Inkjecta. It looks like a spaceship. But it's the same way. It's even more than that. Like that one, if I'm not mistaken, that one, like you turn the machine up and down to adjust voltage, and then you turn it like twist it this way or something to adjust the needle depth. So it's like I don't even know how when you're just tattooing normally, it's not always changing. But Ty, I know Ty's. I don't know. He did a. If you go to Ty's YouTube channel, I don't know what it's called, just to search Ty Pilata. If you go to Ty's YouTube channel, I know he did a review on that Inkjecta machine that works that way, and he loves that thing, but I just can't imagine using it. But I might be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, so Bohan, who asked that question about that Solnova, said his is a regular Solnova, not wireless, he likes it, but thinking about getting the Bishop Packer, because they need something with a harder hit. It's kind of hard to line and pack with the Solnova.
Oh, gotcha.
What they found.
Yeah. The only Cheyennes I have any experience with, I had the very first, it was before the pen style, it was the Hawk, I think is what they called it. And I had that, and then I had the first pen, and neither of them were great, like single pass anything. I didn't think they lined, they weren't like great single pass liners or single pass color machines. For what I do, kind of like building up and sculpting, they were fine. They worked okay for me, but I know that that's not their strong suit.
Nikos is curious, have you ever accidentally blunted your needles when you put it in the ink cap? He's struggling with it and thought he might switch to silicone caps.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Yeah, I do that all the time. Even still, I mean, you can turn your machine off and dip your ink, like don't let it run. That's what, most people would say to do. I'm lazy and I don't do that. And I just kind of test it until I just drill into the side of the ink cap. Yeah, I'm with you. That's the same problem.
We got an hour and 15 in.
Okay, well, we can shut it down whenever. I was only wanting to go an hour or so. Does anyone have any kind of like final questions before we wrap? I know Scott's got some car issues he has to deal with.
Well, here's a quick one you can throw your thoughts on. If you could only have two machines to work with forever.
Oh, forever.
What would it be?
Man.
Your two favorites.
I would use the Numa is the most versatile, so definitely I could do whatever I want with the Numa. And if I had two Numas, then I could set them up two different ways. Another machine that I've just really gotten to where I absolutely love, and it's I've been using it for several years now, is that Scorpion by Ink Machines. I love that machine. It's so quiet, it's so light. I love how instead of like when you twist the dial in the back to change the needle depth, it's like you can adjust the hit, although I don't really adjust it all that much from hard to soft. I really like that machine a lot. I use it every single week, so I would probably go with the Numa 4 and the Scorpion by Ink Machines. I like both of those. That's a good way to wrap it. Well, cool. We said it all?
I think so. And then one last comment. Please upload more of your 3-minute hints with your smile.
Yeah. We're going to keep doing more 3 minutes. We're actually out of... We have 2 more weeks worth of podcast interviews, and then we actually don't have anything. So I'm going to try to crank out a handful of 3-minute videos over the next couple of months. Any ideas that people have to for 3-minute episodes, feel free to share with us, either in YouTube comments if there's something you want to see, or on you can email info@firesidetattoo.com, and Scott and I and Allie will all three see it, and I'd love to get some ideas on what you guys would like to see 3-minute episodes on, because they're fun. I like doing them. They're shorter, so you get to like do more fun editing and stuff with them. So cool. Thanks everybody. We're gonna wrap it up. Turn the Mandalorian back on.